Some machines are created to function, but others are built to exist in a world where precision, exclusivity, and presence define everything. What you're about to experience belongs to that rare category, where intensity doesn't need to be loud to be powerful, and where every detail carries weight. In this video, you'll discover how true high-end experiences are designed, how intensity builds through precision, and why the most exclusive creations in the world feel different from everything else. You'll understand how control, timing, and refinement come together to create something that only a few can truly experience. Before we move forward, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell icon so you never miss more informative and educational videos like this. It starts quietly, setting the stage for what is to come. A reaction, almost instinctive, a moment of realization that something is happening. You don't fully understand it yet, but you can feel it. That first response, simple, unfiltered, signals the beginning of something deeper. There's no structure yet, no clear direction, just a raw sense of awareness, a recognition that the environment is shifting, that something around you is beginning to change. And then it builds. The reaction repeats, not because it needs to, but because the experience demands it. Each moment feels slightly more intense than the last. You begin to notice how the atmosphere is evolving. It's no longer just a passing feeling, it's becoming consistent. That consistency is important as it forms the foundation of power. Because true intensity doesn't appear instantly, it grows. It layers itself over time, becoming stronger with each second. And here, that growth is unmistakable. The energy is rising, but it remains controlled. Nothing feels rushed, nothing feels forced. There's a pause, but not a complete stop. More like a breath between moments, a subtle reset that allows the intensity to settle before building again. And when it returns, it feels more defined, more focused. This is where the concept of heat begins to take shape, not just as a word, but as a presence, something that surrounds the experience, giving it weight. You can sense it in the rhythm, in the timing, in the way everything begins to align. It's no longer random, it's forming a pattern, and that pattern creates structure. The repetition becomes more deliberate. Each instance reinforces the last. It's like a signal, steady and clear, telling you that this isn't temporary. This is something that will continue to grow. Then, the environment shifts again. You notice how everything starts to connect. The rhythm tightens, the flow becomes smoother. There's less uncertainty now, more direction. The experience is no longer building blindly, it's moving forward with purpose. And within that purpose, the intensity increases. Not aggressively, but steadily. You feel it becoming more present, more difficult to ignore. The earlier moments of uncertainty are gone, replaced by something more controlled. This is where exclusivity begins to reveal itself. Because true high-end experiences are never chaotic. They are measured. Every step is intentional. Every shift is calculated. And what you're witnessing now reflects that level of control. There's also a sense of anticipation forming. You can feel that this is leading somewhere, that the progression isn't random. It's building toward a moment. A point where everything that has been developing begins to show its full form, but it doesn't rush. Instead, it maintains its pace, confident, steady, uninterrupted. That's what makes it compelling. It respects timing. It understands that impact isn't about speed, it's about control. And then, the intensity becomes undeniable. The presence of heat is now constant. It's no longer something that appears and disappears, it stays. It holds the experience together. You begin to notice how the repetition has changed. It's no longer just reinforcement, it's identity. It defines the experience. It gives it a rhythm that feels consistent and intentional, like a pulse. And yet, despite this intensity, everything remains composed. That's the key difference. Because in most situations, rising energy leads to instability. But here, it leads to refinement. Everything becomes sharper, more precise. The experience has formed, and now it continues to evolve. And now that the foundation has been established, the experience begins to move with greater clarity. The intensity is no longer uncertain, it's defined. It feels controlled but increasingly powerful. The heat is still there. Now it stays. It holds its position, becoming a constant force. Once intensity becomes consistent, it starts becoming immersive. You're moving with it. The rhythm tightens. Everything flows in a way that feels intentional, almost engineered. Repetition is no longer just reinforcing the experience, it's guiding it, like a steady signal. And with that cohesion, the intensity deepens. Not louder, but more present. It fills the space. The experience has become familiar, but not predictable. Both exist together. Small variations begin to appear. tiny adjustments in rhythm. These aren't random, they're deliberate. Repetition evolves. It sharpens the overall experience. The heat intensifies again, but in a controlled way. You can feel it rising slightly, then stabilizing. It never overwhelms. It never breaks structure. Instead, it adds pressure while maintaining balance. That balance is what defines the quality of the experience. There's no chaos here, only discipline. And that discipline creates confidence. You begin to sense that everything is exactly where it should be. Nothing feels out of place, nothing feels excessive. Every element contributes without competing for attention. That's what makes this stage so engaging. It doesn't try to impress, it simply operates at a level where impression becomes natural. The rhythm continues to build, but now it feels more deliberate. Each moment carries weight. Each transition feels necessary. There's no filler, no wasted movement. Everything is aligned toward progression. And within this progression, anticipation starts to grow again. Not the uncertainty from earlier, but a more focused kind of anticipation. One that comes from understanding that the experience is leading somewhere specific. You can feel that something is approaching. The structure is too refined, the rhythm too consistent for this to remain at the same level. There's a sense that everything is preparing for a shift, something more defined, more noticeable. But still, it doesn't rush. That's what separates this from anything ordinary. It respects timing. It allows the intensity to mature before pushing it further. And that patience is what makes the eventual transition more impactful. Because when it happens, it won't feel sudden, it will feel earned. The heat remains steady, acting as the core of everything. The rhythm stays controlled, guiding the flow forward. And the experience continues to evolve, becoming more precise with every second. You're no longer at the beginning, you're inside the process now. And everything that follows will build on what has already been established, moving closer to something stronger, sharper, and far more defined. And now, that progression becomes impossible to ignore. The structure that once felt steady and controlled begins to carry more presence. It doesn't break its form, it strengthens it. Every element that was carefully aligned now starts to move with greater confidence, creating an experience that feels more direct and more engaging. The heat is no longer just consistent, it's dominant. Not in a way that overwhelms, but in a way that defines everything around it. You don't search for it anymore, it's already there, embedded into every moment. It shapes the rhythm, influences the pacing, and holds the entire experience together. This is where intensity becomes identity. You can feel how everything now revolves around that central force. The repetition continues, but it carries more weight. Each cycle feels stronger, more intentional. It's no longer just guiding the flow, it's driving it. And with that shift, the experience becomes more immersive. You're not just observing the progression anymore, you're inside it. Every moment feels connected, pulling you forward without effort. There's a sense of momentum building, but it remains controlled, never slipping into chaos. That balance is what keeps everything grounded, because as intensity increases, the risk of losing control becomes higher. But here, that risk is managed perfectly. Every rise is measured, every transition is calculated. Nothing happens without purpose. You begin to notice how the rhythm evolves again. It becomes tighter, more refined. The gaps between moments feel smaller, the flow more continuous. There's less separation now. Everything blends together in a way that feels seamless. And within that seamless flow, subtle variations start to stand out. Small changes in timing, slight shifts in energy. These details become more noticeable because the overall structure is so stable. They add depth, making the experience feel more dynamic without disrupting its consistency. This is where precision reaches another level, because it's not just about maintaining control, it's about enhancing it. Taking something already refined and pushing it further without losing its balance. The heat intensifies again, but in a sharper way. It feels more focused now, less spread out, like energy being directed rather than simply existing. This concentration adds a new layer of impact, making each moment feel more defined. You can sense that everything is leading towards something. The progression has become too deliberate, too structured for it to remain at the same level. There's a clear direction now, a sense that all of this is building toward a specific point. And that realization creates tension, not discomfort but anticipation. A quiet pressure that keeps you engaged, waiting for what comes next. It's subtle, but it's there. And it grows stronger with each passing moment. Still, the experience doesn't rush. It continues at its controlled pace, allowing the intensity to build naturally. That patience is what makes the progression feel real. It doesn't force impact, it prepares for it. The repetition becomes more deliberate again, not just reinforcing the rhythm but emphasizing it. Each cycle feels like a step closer to something greater, like a signal that the experience is approaching a turning point. And yet, everything remains composed. No sudden spikes, no unnecessary shifts, just a steady increase in clarity, in direction, in presence. This is where mastery becomes visible, not in how loud or fast something becomes, but in how controlled it remains as intensity rises. The ability to maintain structure under pressure is what defines this level of refinement. You begin to feel fully engaged now. There's no distraction, no uncertainty. The experience has your complete attention. The experience has your complete attention not because it demands it, but because it earns it. And within that focus, the direction becomes undeniable. Something is coming, not suddenly, not unexpectedly, but inevitably. The heat continues to hold everything together. The rhythm continues to guide the flow, and the structure continues to support the progression, ensuring that nothing feels out of place. You're no longer building towards something undefined. You're approaching something precise. And when it arrives, it won't feel like a surprise. It will feel like the natural result of everything that has been carefully built so far. And now, that inevitable moment begins to take form with complete clarity. Everything that has been building starts to align into a single focused direction. The experience is no longer expanding outward. It is concentrating, sharpening into something more precise. You can feel the shift immediately. The rhythm becomes tighter than before. Not faster, but more exact. Every moment lands with purpose. There is no excess, no unnecessary movement. Everything feels intentional, as if each element has reached its final position. The heat is no longer something that rises or falls. It is fully present, constant, stable, integrated into every part of the experience. It doesn't announce itself anymore. It defines the atmosphere. You don't notice it separately because it has become part of everything, and that changes how you experience it. Earlier, you were aware of the build. Now, you are inside the result. The structure holds firm, even as the intensity reaches its highest sustained level. There is no instability, no loss of control. Everything feels more grounded than ever. That's what makes this stage so distinct. It proves that true refinement doesn't break under pressure, it strengthens. You begin to notice how every transition feels sharper, not abrupt, but cleaner, more direct. There is less distance between moments. The flow becomes continuous in a way that feels almost seamless. And within that seamless flow, contrast begins to stand out more clearly. Small variations carry more impact now. A slight pause feels meaningful. A subtle shift feels intentional. These details don't disrupt the experience. They enhance it, adding depth to something already refined. This is where design turns into storytelling. Not through words, but through progression. There's a stronger sense of immediacy. Everything feels closer, more present. The experience feels direct. Control remains absolute. Precision becomes sharper. Every detail is maintained. The repetition continues, but now it carries finality. Sustaining intensity without losing clarity is what defines true mastery. Everything has found its exact place, operating in complete harmony, creating a unified experience with absolute confidence. This isn't about reaching a peak and ending. It's a foundation for what comes next. The direction is about to evolve once more. And when it does, it will transform it into something even more complete. You can sense it immediately. The rhythm remains steady, but it feels more flexible. Not unstable, just more adaptive. This is where control evolves into interaction. Earlier, everything was carefully built and maintained. Now it begins to respond. The flow adjusts, as if recognizing its own intensity. This is where variation enters the system. Not chaos, but controlled unpredictability. The system isn't just maintaining balance, it's choosing it. Everything feels more refined now. It's not about building anymore, it's about clarity. Each element stands out with purpose. The rhythm continues, but it feels resolved. It's no longer searching for direction. It has found it. This is what true mastery looks like. Not louder, not faster, but more precise. The heat is now fully integrated. It is the experience itself. Every movement carries confidence. Every transition feels resolved. And that's what makes this stage so powerful. Because nothing needs to prove itself anymore. Everything simply operates. Mastery is the result of control. A level where even the most complex elements feel effortless. Where everything moves exactly as it should, without resistance. No unnecessary repetition. No excess. The pacing is exact, not rushed, not slow, just perfectly balanced. And within that balance, there is authority. The kind that doesn't demand attention but naturally holds it. This is where the experience shifts to presence. The focus is no longer on what comes next, but on what is already here. The complexity hasn't disappeared, it has been mastered. And when something is mastered, it feels simple. Everything has reached its intended form. It doesn't try to impress, it simply exists at a level where impression is inevitable. It feels resolved, complete, and in that completion there is clarity. Refined and stable, that is the essence of mastery. Not just reaching a peak, but understanding it, shaping it, and holding it without losing control. And now, nothing more is needed, because everything has already been said, clearly, precisely, and without excess. This is the final stage, not louder, not bigger, but sharper, more refined, and ultimately, complete.